the Amway business or any business, be prepared to invest 5 years. Don't think about it as 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, quick in and out, make a lot of money. Be prepared to put your head down and work your heart off for 5 years. And you may be successful and you may not. I have met people all over the world who took that advice and started in Amway with nothing as poor immigrants and put their head down and just worked for 5 years. And when they lifted up their head, they're living in big houses with huge garages and 10 or 12 cars and flying around in private jets and living the good life because they put their head down for 5 years. They didn't worry about short-term interruptions. They just worked full blast for 5 years. So don't get into anything unless you're willing to put your whole heart into it for 5 years. If in the back of your mind you don't want to be in this business for 5 years, don't go into it in the first place because you will never be successful. You'll never be successful unless in your heart of hearts you look forward to 5 years. Someone once asked me when I was speaking, what would I like to be doing in 25 years? I said I'd like to be speaking and doing seminars. How about 30 years speaking and doing seminars? If you're in the right field, you want to do it for the rest of your life and you want to get better and better at it. If you don't want to do it for the rest of your life and you don't care about getting better, it's not the right for you. It doesn't mean that it's not right. It just means it's not right for you. So number 5, they're highly disciplined and focused. Focused, 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 focused. Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, focus, 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 blink, blink, blink. They're really well disciplined. And focus requires discipline, and discipline builds focus. Number 6, they expect to fail over and over. This is another quality of superior people, is they do not like to fail. They do everything possible to avoid failure and then to minimize failure and, of course, to learn from failure, but they know that it is impossible to succeed without failing. So they're willing to take risks. In the study of self-made billionaires that they just completed last month, they asked the self-made billionaires, what was the reason why you became so successful? It started off with 0, and today they're worth more than $1 billion. Some of them are worth 20. Founders of Uber, 50. Bill Gates, 79, started with nothing. How did you manage to pull that off? They gave 3 qualities. Number one, the most popular, hard work and self-discipline. Hard work and self-discipline. I worked harder and disciplined myself longer. Do you know that most of them did not like a long runway? Their long runway was 15 years. It was after 15 or even 20 years that the plane took off. It took them that long to get up enough speed for lift. Bill Gates started studying computer programming 25 years before Microsoft took off. Steve Jobs, 20 years before Apple started to take off. That are making a lot of money, are very good at choosing people. They're so fastidious. I just read this one-liner yesterday. It says that Google interviews 0.25%. That's 1/4% of people who apply for the jobs Google will even interview. That's 1 out of 400. Because once they put them through the online research process and have them ask questions, they can sort them out. And they only interview 1 out of 400. Then they only hire 1 out of 200. So their selection process is fastidious. They've got 60,000 employees and they're one of the most profitable companies in the world. Why? It's because they're so careful about hiring. So we talked earlier about the 3 ways of thinking is long-term thinking versus short-term. When you hire someone, think about having this person work for you for 20 years. Don't think, well, I'll hire them. If they don't work out, I'll fire them. Always think into the future. Second of all, go slow. Slow thinking. The slower you make a people decision, the better that decision will be. So we say that all work is done by teams. Now, the team is the people involved. It's just like a sports team. The rugby team, all the games are played by the players. And the manager's work is the work of the team. The coach does not go out on the field and run around with the ball. The coach stays on the sideline, selects the team, and directs and trains the team. So your job is no longer to do it. They say that management is getting things done through others. Getting things done through others. Is to supervise. So therefore, the biggest mistake that managers make is they run back onto the field. Can you imagine a coach in a rugby game saying, no, 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 and running back onto the field and trying to play the game, the audience would think the person was crazy. Do you know how many managers are running back on the field all the time, doing the work that they're supposed to be hiring somebody else to do? Number 3, success requires excellent performance of every team member. You cannot have weak people. Now, large companies can make mistakes because they have so many other people. Small companies, a major reason why small companies go broke is because of one incompetent person in a key job. If you have one incompetent person in an important job, that is enough to bankrupt your company and ruin your family. And so you can't afford to have incompetent people in your business. If you find that you've got them, you've got to get rid of them quickly, like they are grenades with the pins pulled out and they're about to go off. And it's amazing how many people hold back from firing incompetent people. They think, well, no, there's 6 people at this table here. We can't have 6 people at a table. We have to have 5 people or 4 people at a table. So somebody at this table has got to go back there where there's only 3 people. Can we do that, please? Come on. Come on. This table right here. This table. There's 1 person too many at this table. They have to go back to that table in the back with James where there's only 3. Okay, it's very important. It's almost like, no, there's 5 people at that table already. They're just not in the room. You have to go back to that table. James, raise your hand. There we go. That's where we need you to go. You guys are trying to trick me. You think I'm not counting. How many times do you think I've sat in front of an audience? Do you know any? 5,000. 5,000. I can count better than you can count. All right. So you require excellent performance, and if you have a poor performer, get rid of them quickly, like you'd get rid of a scorpion that's about to bite you, because a poor performer does 2 things. First of all, they do a poor job, which can kill you. Second of all, they demoralize everybody else. There's nothing that demoralizes someone than to know that their coworker is incompetent, but you pay them anyway. So why should I work hard if you pay that person the same amount? It kills it. That's why in a good company, they say that a manager who keeps an incompetent person in the job is themselves incompetent and should be fired. Now think about that. If you keep an incompetent person in the job, then you're incompetent and you should be fired. And you know what happens when you go through turnarounds? First thing they do is they come in, they see incompetent people, fire all the managers who got those people working there. No, they don't even talk to them. They say, you got incompetent people, out, 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 chainsaw, run, run, run. And then they bring in competent managers. They don't fire the people, they fire the managers. So you don't want that to happen. The best businesses have the best people. Bottom line, simple statement, second best businesses have the second best people. Third best businesses are going broke. It's just a matter of time. They'll struggle and struggle and struggle and then go bankrupt. No chance. You haven't got a chance against companies with better people. You haven't got a chance. It's sort of like gunfighting. You know, in the Old West, the gunfighters would meet in the middle of the street and they would draw on fire. You know that? Well, if you're going up against a faster gunfighter than you, you're dead. It's not like maybe this time it'll be okay or maybe I'll win. No. If the other gunfighter is faster than you, you're dead. And you're dead in a split second. So it's really important. So we say here, determine your hourly rate. This is the starting point of picking good people. Divide your annual income by 2,000 to calculate your hourly rate. So if you earn $100,000 a year, 2,000 is the number of hours that an entrepreneur works in an average year. So that's 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, 2,000 hours. So then you divide that by your annual income to get your hourly rate. And you can use any number that you want. But if you ask most people, if you ask rich people, how much do you earn? They'll say about $225 an hour. The highest paid people always think in terms of how much they earn per hour. The lowest paid people think of how much they earn in a month or a year. So if I ask you how much do you earn and you give me a monthly rate or an hourly rate, you're a low paid worker. High paid workers, top 10%, will tell you how much they earn per hour because they've calculated it. Now once you've determined how much you are earning per hour, then you see the exercise here? The exercise is, I want you to fill this out quickly, how much you are earning per hour today, and how much you would like to earn in 2 to 3 years. And whatever you put, the answer should be double what you're earning today. So if you're earning the equivalent of $100,000 a year today, $50 an hour, your goal in 2 to 3 years should be $100 an hour. Always double. And then the only question you ask is, what do I have to do to achieve it? So what is your hourly rate today? Please calculate that. I calculate mine every year. I get my tax forms and I fill out my taxes, which is in most cases is the accurate number, how much you declare. And then I just divide it by the number of hours that I work. And each year I try to increase the hourly rate. And as a result, my hourly rate's quite high. Now question, what hourly rate would you like to earn in 2 or 3 years? And what will you have to do that? Which brings us to, got that answer? Write it down. Has everybody got the answer? Don't talk unless you have the answer. Don't stop other people from writing their answer by talking at them. Okay? Okay, now the key to maximizing your income is to delegate everything that anyone else can do at a lower hourly rate than you earn. Once upon a time when I was coming up, I was working hard, and I would come home on the weekend and I would mow my own lawn, cut my own grass, do my own gardening. One day, I'd been working all day Saturday. I came home, it was summertime, about 5 or 6 o'clock, and all my lawn and my yard had been mowed and the yard had been cleaned up. And I walked in the house, and instead of saying, "Hello, sweetheart," I said, "Who cut my grass?" And she said, "I hired a boy down the street to cut your grass." I said, "That's my job. I cut my own grass. This is my job as the family, as the father, as the householder." "No," she said, "you can no longer afford to cut your own lawn, cut your own grass. You can no longer afford to mow your own lawn." And I sulked. I went away and sulked for a while, which is what men do. And then I came back and I realized she was right. She said, "It's better that you sit and relax or play with the children than you go out in the yard and work for 2 or 3 hours in the hot sun and come in sweaty and dirty for doing your own laboring work." And I said, "Okay, I agree with you, you're right, but you can no longer clean your own house. We've made it, we are successful enough financially that we can hire somebody else to do housekeeping." "No," she said, that's what the wife does, and this is what my mother did and everything else." "No, if I can't cut my own lawn, you cannot clean your own house." So we went out and hired a maid for her, and she's had a maid ever since. And then when we had our 3rd child, we got a nanny for the children, because you cannot afford to be running around in circles 16 hours a day taking care of 3 kids. You've got to have help. My point is this, is that at a certain level of success, you can no longer do low-level jobs. You can no longer afford to do them. You must hire someone else to do low-level jobs. I told you that I would guarantee that my clients would double their income and double their time off. This was the thing that astonished them. Delegate everything that does not pay your level of income. If you're a $50 an hour person, you do not do $10 an hour work. Why is that? It's because if you do $10 an hour work, you cannot do $50 an hour work. There's a law called the law of the excluded alternative. It's one of the great laws, gems that I discovered. It says if you do this A, you can't do B. And many people ruin their careers by doing low-level jobs when they should be saving their time. The Warren Buffett model, just say no to anything that does not pay you the kind of money that you want to earn. Because if you do that, you won't be able to do the work that does pay you the amount of money that you want to earn, and you have to be very strict. Because remember, the enemy is the comfort zone. We keep sliding back like into a warm bath, sliding back doing what we were doing before. I have not washed my own car for 25 years. I don't do my own housework. I don't do my own repair work. I don't clean my own swimming pool. I don't wash and my wife does not wash or iron clothes. We do not do things that somebody can do at a lower hourly rate. And so as you become more successful, you must become adamant of not doing things at a low level so you have more time to do things that pay you a higher income. So free up every minute possible for doing only those things that you can do. One of the great questions in time management is this: what can I and only I do that, if done well, will make a real difference? This is something nobody else can do but you. If you don't do it, it will not be done. But if you do it and do it quickly and do it well, it can make a big difference in your life. What is it? At every minute of every hour, there's an answer to this question. And your job is to discipline yourself to be only doing that. Do not do anything. Warren Buffett, the only thing that he can do that nobody else can do is he can pick investments. So he spends 80% of his day reading and researching and talking and discussing money with other people and focuses only on those things he can do. And he says no to everything else. So, key productivity principle, do what you do best, delegate or discontinue the rest. If you cannot delegate it, stop doing it. Your job as a senior person is not to do it, but to get it done by others. And so what do you do best? What do you do best? That's a good question. So can you write your answer to that? What are those tasks that you do best? Please write your answer quickly. You probably answered the question yesterday when we talked about the big three. But what are the three things that you do the best in your work? Please write your answers. You have 30 seconds. Write quickly. Page 118. Okay, please stop. Now, these are the things that pay you your desired hourly rate or more. These are the reasons why you were hired. These are the keys to your future. So what is the rule? Do these more of the time and get better at each one. Do these more of the time and get better at each one. I remember when I was coming up, and I had been speaking for 8 years, and people were saying to me, you have to write a book. You have to write a book. You have to write a book as a business card. You have to write a book with your ideas. You have to write a book. Well, I couldn't type. And so the idea of writing a book, type, peck, and so on, was very time consuming. And then someone said, well, why don't you learn to type? And I thought, oh, of course. So I went out and I bought a program that went on my computer at that time. It was 1989. It went in as a disk, and it came up, and it taught you how to type. You took one lesson every day for 30 minutes a day for three months. I went from 0 to touch typing 50 to 80 words a minute. And I've now written 75 books that have been translated into 42 languages and have sold 10 million copies. But if I hadn't learned that additional skill so I could multiply myself times the skill, I'd be still putting off the idea of writing books. Sometimes one additional skill will transform your life completely. You'll never be the same after that. And all business skills are what? They are what? Learnable. You should never allow yourself to be held back because of a learnable skill. It's like something that's laying there on the sidewalk. Just bend over and pick it up. It's just a skill. You can learn any skill. And the more skills you learn, the more you can learn. So we say here is great people in a business, the people that you want to hire, number one, they're excellent at their work. Now here's an important point, is big companies can hire people out of school and when they're starting off their careers, and they hire them at low pay, and then they train them. And as they train them, then they grow in their earning ability and become more valuable. Small, medium-sized companies like you and I cannot hire new people, starting people. We don't have the resources to train them. We don't have the staff. You are not a skilled trainer. You don't have the budget. You have to hire people who are like the roadrunner. You know, the legs are moving when you hire them and you drop them down. You have to hire people that are ready to work on day one because they already have the training, the skills, and the experience in the past. You never hire somebody based on what they are going to do. You only hire somebody based on what they have already done in the past. And they have to have had a record of doing excellent work. Here's a critical point. People don't change. If a person has a track record of doing excellent work, they will do excellent work with you. They will be on time, they'll work hard, they'll be punctual. If a person has a track record of doing mediocre work, then they will do mediocre work with you. They will not change. People don't change. The reason I say that is many people ruin their personal lives and ruin their businesses by being involved with somebody who they hope is going to change. The person is not going to change. People don't change. Are you with me so far? Say yes. So if you're hoping and wishing and praying that somebody in your work or your personal life is going to change, you're living in fantasy land. You have never changed since you left school, and neither have they, and neither will they. You will never change. It's like a DNA or eye color or physical height. It's locked in for life. It's not going to change. So it's really important to understand that. When you hire people, never hire people because they promise you that in the future they're going to do something. Number two, great people accept high levels of responsibility. They accept high levels of responsibility. They don't make excuses or blame others. One of the questions, by the way, that they ask in interviews is they say, tell me about your previous job. Why is it that it didn't work out? And there's two types of answers. Answer number one is they'll say, oh, my boss was terrible, my company was terrible, my coworkers were terrible. It wasn't me, it was them. In other words, no responsibility. The top people, when you say, why didn't your previous job work out? They'll say, well, I made a lot of mistakes and I was just learning it and I did this, but I learned a lot of good lessons. In other words, they'll take responsibility for their previous failures. Unsuccessful people will always blame them on someone else. It wasn't me, it was them. So number three is they have a positive mental attitude. When you hire people, only hire nice people. Hire people that you personally like. That's not the only reason. Many people will hire people just because they like them. These people should be beaten with a stick. It's not enough that they're nice people, but it's a minimum. And why is this? The number one reason why people are happy at work is because of their coworkers. Their coworkers are positive and competent, and everybody does a good job and is happy about it. So don't hire a negative person and drop them into your workplace. That's like dropping ink into a glass of clear water. Poisons the whole workplace. Only hire people that you like. Number four is they use their time well. Is they're good time managers. Is they arrive on time. By the way, do you know what percentage of the population is punctual? I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings. 2%. And you know who the most respected people are in every industry or society? The 2%. The people who are late are always disrespected. Because why? You can never depend on them. Someone once said the most important ability in business is dependability. Is that if they say they'll be there at 10 o'clock, they're there at 5 to 10 or 10 to 10. Vince Lombardi, the great football coach, instituted what he called Lombardi time. If the bus left at 10, Lombardi time was you would be on the bus 15 minutes early, 9:45. And if you weren't, the bus left at 9:46. So he'd say, the bus is leaving at 10, but it left at 9:46. If you weren't on the bus, you missed the game. You went back home, and they'd cut you from the team. And he was pretty clear about that. He said, if you're so sloppy that you can't catch the bus, we don't want you on the team. You're going to make mistakes in other areas as well. And so number five, they get along well with others. So they have a nice personality. They're positive toward themselves, and they're positive toward other people. So we say hiring the right people. Your ability to find and hire the right people is the key to leveraging and multiplying yourself. And the flip side is if you can't hire and keep the right people, then you cannot succeed in business. You can't be a manager, you can't be a supervisor, you can't be anything. And all the big problems in business come from hiring the wrong people. I just written a book, by the way, called How to Hire and Keep the Best People. It's actually called Hire and Keep the Best People. And I've created programs on this, and they've transformed businesses completely. Fortune 500 companies use my programs because this stuff is so helpful. Anyway, so we say how to hire. Selection is 95% of success. It's like a sports team. Your ability to select the right players initially determines 95% of your success as a manager and as a business. So this is where you use slow thinking, where you careful thinking, you use informed thinking, use long-term thinking. Never hire as a solution to a problem. These, by the way, I've made every one of these mistakes. As, for example, you say, geez, we've got to get this job done. Let's hire somebody. Let's hire somebody to do this job. So here's the problem, and you're hiring somebody as a solution. No, 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 no. Even if you have an emergency, don't hire. My friend, until you find the right person. My friend Harvey McKay built McKay Envelope into one of the most successful businesses of its kind, became wealthy and so on. And Harvey talks about needing a salesman. His business was growing, he needed a salesman, so he began advertising and interviewing. He interviewed 25 salespeople and did not hire one. It was only number 26 that he hired. Because he knew that if he hired the wrong person, the time to make the right decision is before you hire them, not to hire them and then have to worry about all the problems. And he finally hired the right person, and this person became a superstar in his business and stayed with him for 15 years. But he said he would have interviewed 25 more people if necessary to find the right one. You'll find that many big companies, I call them the grown-up companies, the ones that are really profitable, will interview for a receptionist 25 times. And the receptionist will be interviewed by 8 different people in the company. And then the receptionist will be given a 30-day trial period before her job is actually confirmed. And other companies, they'll interview the first person that walks in the door. We call this the first person who can fog a mirror. You know, you breathe in a mirror, there's fog. First person that comes in the door, they hire them and say, okay, it's your job. And then they wonder why they have so many problems, and they're spending all of their time wrangling with these people and trying to get them to do their work. When I was 24 years old, I was broke. I was sleeping on the floor of a friend's small apartment, a crummy apartment, and in the bottom drawer of an old dresser, there was an old tattered book, and the book said, if you want to be successful, you have to write down some goals. So I had nothing to do, so I took a piece of paper and I wrote down 10 goals. And I probably lost the paper and never saw the book again. But within 30 days, my whole life had transformed. I had increased my, and I wrote down ridiculous goals. I'm just playing with the idea. I had increased my income incredibly. I'd gone from not being able to sell. I found a sales technique that tripled my sales overnight. I was promoted to sales manager by my boss to teach 32 salespeople this who fanned out around the country. I went from sleeping on the floor to my own apartment, my own clothes, and a pocket full of money. I started from eating off the street, which is where I was at that time. I was able to eat at restaurants and grocery stores. It was phenomenal. I still remember, and I only remember I'd written all this stuff down, and it was happening like fireworks. Poof, pow, poo, pow, poo, all within 30 days. And so this is what happens. So I have a homework exercise for you. When you go home tonight, I want you to take that one goal, the most important goal, the one goal that could have the greatest impact on your life, and write it down in a positive present tense statement with a date. I achieve this goal by this date. And then what you do is you make a list of everything that you can think of that you could do to achieve the goal. As you think of new items, add them to the list until your list is complete. And then organize the list into a plan by sequence. What do you need to do first? What do you need to do second? And then begin working down your list. Take action on your list. Do the first thing. Take the first step. And then this will make you rich, happy, thin, famous, and popular, is do something every day. Every day, do something on your most important goal. Every day, take at least one step forward. Develop momentum. We say, I just wrote a book. It's called Get Going and Keep Going. And it's the hardest thing in the world is to just get going. Take the first step and then do something every day that moves you towards your goal. And my promise to you is that as you work on this goal, the most amazing thing will happen. You'll start to make progress. You'll start to move forward on all your other goals. It's just an amazing thing that happens. So focus on a single goal. Focus on this one goal that can help you the most, and your whole life will begin to change. You'll begin to activate your subconscious and superconscious minds. You'll begin to develop creativity and energy and enthusiasm. And each step that you take forward will give you more energy and give you more motivation to take the next step. It's the most amazing darn thing, and it's totally 100% under your control. I've worked with people from the poorest countries. I've worked with people in jails and prisons. I've worked with people who are uneducated and unskilled. And with this method, they achieved their goals in faster than they ever dreamed possible. Now, some people look at me and say, well, this is, motivational talk. And they say, what if it doesn't work? But that's the wrong question. The question is, what if it does work? What if this does work? All it costs is a piece of paper and a pen. So it's very important that you try it out. Now, I have some great news for you. As you know, I'm a good speaker. Many years ago, I got a coach. I've been speaking for 10 years. I was probably in the top 2 or 3% of speakers in the world at that time. And I hired a coach, one of the best speaking coaches in the world, considered to be the best in America, and he's from England. And I hired him and I worked with him for 10 years. And we became very dear friends. And my speaking very quickly went to the top 1%, then the top fraction of a percent. And it was because of not only all the books that I read and all the courses that I took and all the audios that I listened to and all the practice, but also it was the coaching and the training. So I put together a program a few years ago, which I offer in San Diego, and it's called Brian Tracy's Speaking Academy, and it costs $10,000 per person plus expenses to attend. People who go through that program will start off average or shaky or not even very good speakers, and within 3 intensive days, they're excellent speakers. They give beautiful talks. They get standing ovations from the audience, and it transforms their personality. When I meet them a month or a year later, they're totally transformed. They're no longer the same again. Well, everybody says, geez, I wish I could go to that program. And I had a gentleman from Kenya come to the program the last time I gave it, about 2 months ago. And everybody wants to come, but it's so far and so difficult to get there, and it's expensive. And then what I find is that you have a program that is equally as good right here in Dar es Salaam. And it's given by Akash Korea, and Akash is one of the best professional speakers and speaking trainers in the world today. He has written some of the best books and most respected books on professional speaking in the world. And he's offering a course right here in Dar es Salaam that is probably equal to, well, I don't want to say that, but it's probably equal to my course. So if you want to become really excellent at speaking, here's what we find. As you go through this program, you think, well, I'll learn how to be able to stand up and make a more effective presentation. And that's what I thought I would be teaching. But what Akash teaches you is to develop a quality of self-confidence in your interactions with others that spreads to every part of your life. You're more confident with your customers. You're more confident with your clients, with your bankers, with restaurant owners, with lawyers. I mean, it transforms your personality. So not only are you confident, but you can speak clearly and effectively. You can make presentations and get results. You can influence and motivate and persuade people to act. And it's all available right here. The same program that I charge $10,000 for, Akash gives, I give it over 3 days. Akash gives it over 4 days. And so if ever you have wanted to become an effective public speaker, and they say that the biggest single fear that adults have in life is the fear of public speaking. Within 4 days with Akash, you will never have fear of public speaking again. Actually, your fear will be gone within the first day, because there's a series of methods and techniques that you learn in terms of feedback and video and so on that cause the fear to disappear, almost like cigarette smoke disappears and is gone forever. So this program is going to be given on August 18th to the 22nd right here, and I charge $10,000, and Akash charges a total, basically, I guess about $500, $50 registration, $400 fee, and a $50 final assessment. So you can get the program right here. And what I do with my program, and I don't know if Akash does it, but he's going to come up and talk to you for a second, but I always guarantee my programs. I say, if you're not happy with this program for any reason, you can have your money back. And so if you ever you wanted to be a professional speaker, Akash is one of the best professional speakers and trainers in the world, and he's giving this course on August 18th to 22nd, and I personally strongly recommend that you take it. In fact, if I was here, I would like to take it, because he's got a lot of ideas and insights on how to speak well that I am very impressed with. That's why he's one of the best-selling authors in the world on the subject of professional speaking. But remember this, you cannot learn how to speak professionally from a book or from a tape or from a CD. You can get a lot of great ideas. The only way that you can do it is by doing it, and by doing it in front of a critical audience, which will be your friends, and also an experienced trainer who can give you feedback every step of the way. And that's what I do in my program. For 3 solid days, for 24 hours, we put people in a pressure cooker, and we have them stand up, speak, and be critiqued, and sit back down again. By the end of 3 days, these people are smoking. Everybody is astonished at the change that has taken place in their fellow classmates, because they saw them at the beginning of the program and now they see them at the end of the program. So that being said, this is on the fee is $500. It's on August 18th to 22nd, and I really strongly urge you to attend it. And Akash, did you want to come up here and say a couple of words?
Raise your hand if among the 10 things that you wrote down, the 10 goals that you set for yourself, any one of them included starting a new business, making your current business more successful, or climbing further up the career ladder, or making more money. Raise your hand. Say, oh yes. Oh, yes. Fantastic. Now, over the course that we're going to have together, what I'm going to do is going to offer you specific skills and strategies that will allow you to become a more effective communicator. Why is that important? Research shows that when you increase your communication skills, the ability to present and speak powerfully and persuasively, what happens? People take you more seriously. People begin to pay attention to what you say. Clients begin to buy from you. And when we go through the course together, it's not just public speaking. What I'm going to teach you is effective communication skills so that you're able to persuade people over to your way of thinking. To make this very useful for you, I want you to stand up for the next 30 seconds. Go ahead, stand up, stand up, stand up. 30 seconds.